Well, welcome to episode 24 of URI Just Getting Started. Tonight, I am joined by a great guest, Dawan Robinson, who played on the 2002 URI team that christened the Ryan Center and defeated Pac-10 giant USC. And we'll show a video of that. And they opened the Ryan Center, I could say properly.
Yeah,
Robin, right, Dawan? To
yeah.
say the
That's a great
least.
way to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you started URI from 2002 to 2006. But first of all, Dewan, how was the Cranston Festival?
Oh my gosh. How
Well,
did you know?
forget
Yeah,
about the rest.
yeah. It was amazing. It's always amazing, but I'm just sitting there watching, and it's getting bigger and bigger every year. You know what I mean? This year, I was like, wow, this thing is really getting big. We've been going for at least like for the past 4 or 5 years, and I think this year it was amazing, along with the fireworks and everything. It's a great event to bring the family and kids.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I've never been to it, but I went to URI and I
Yeah.
love people at Cranston.
Oh man, yeah, it's beautiful.
But let's get to your life. And I'm going to start. I know your life, and I couldn't wait to interview you. I'm like the St. Joe's game. I circle it. Oh, and I'm going to start in ninth grade when you didn't try out for the uh, freshman team at Benjamin Franklin
Oh,
School. And your brother said to you, "Why didn't you try out, Dawn?" And you said, "I forgot."
yeah.
How did that work out? I don't
It was at,
you
it
know
was
you
at
can get away with it.
yeah, it was at Martin Luther King High School.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Don't worry about it. And
Yeah.
you know, I was the and one guy around the neighborhood. I
Yeah.
love to do the tricks with the ball, the dribbling. I used to go to different parks around the city, playing different areas, and that's what I started off being known for. You know what I mean? That's how I made my name, playing against different players in different parts of the city. I never really played organized basketball. I didn't play AAU basketball. Um, I played in some summer leagues and stuff. I played in all the summer leagues, but not really organized like AAU. So high school came, and I knew it was a little bit more serious. So I was like, I was kind of nervous. You know what I mean? I was scared to try out. I know it was real refs and stuff, and real coaches and situations where they draw plays. I was a little nervous, so I didn't even go out. And my brother was pissed. And my brother plays a major role in my upbringing because he was hard on me. You know what I mean? And he saw I was getting a little better, so he had to play a little harder and really start to play physical and teach me the game, as well as have that big brother role in the leadership. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So lying to him, which he knew was a lie, he was very upset.
Yeah.
And I just knew the next year I had to go out. Let's say that. You know what I mean? And the next year I went out, and I was like, oh, it's not so bad. You know what I mean? From the tryout, everybody wanted me to try out already, just from what I was doing around the streets. So once I came in, I was ready from the beginning, but I was nervous. You know what I mean? So once we started, I was like, oh, I can get to this. It's not that bad. And then I started playing, and then my junior and senior year, I really started to explode.
Yeah. And then your senior year, you had over 30 points a game.
Yep.
And something very tough happened, tragic in your high school. Would you like to talk about that? You had mentioned that to me the other day.
Yeah. A friend of mine, well, my cousin, we was like brothers. You know what I mean? He was our parents used to hang out together. You know what I mean? And his house was always the house known for the parties, the card games. It was just always fun there. So we always hung
Mhm.
out there. But this was like my brother. We did everything. My first everything started with him. And one night we was hanging out on the corner. We used to stay out late at night. In the beginning, basketball, I told you I was doing it for the playground. But I was really intrigued by the street life. You know what I mean? So I used to stay out on the corners late nights, but I always had those two parents that cared around the neighborhood. So I really couldn't get to the streets because everybody knew my
Yeah.
family. And we was out there hanging out, and a car drove past, and the windows were tinted, and I knew something. I thought something was going to happen right now. And the car proceeded to drive, and then made a right on a block where I knew they was going to make a U-turn. So I told my cousin, a couple. It was like four of us, and it was a girl there, and you know, I knew the car was coming back. So I was like, look, man, I'm out of here. You know what I mean? I got to like the middle of the street, and I just heard one loud gunshot. So I crawled behind the bushes, and I came back out to the middle of the street. I saw Carter was right there in the middle of the street where we was just standing. So I ran down there, and I saw my cousin down there laying on the ground, and basically just fighting for his life. He got shot in the cheek. The bullet came out the back of his head with 38 special. And it was a hard time. I never lost nobody that close to me before. So for like a week straight, I was just in the house, just crying. It hurt. It hurt. So I use it as that situation brought me closer to basketball because it really made me leave hanging out on the corner. Like, I saw there wasn't no loyalty. The streets didn't love you back. There was no loyalty. So I started really focusing, and I just wanted to get away. Like, I wanted to go as far away as possible. I was done. And I went to Maine Central Institute, MCI, and I was able to clear my mind. You know what I mean? My cousin died. And at that time, I used to play street games against different people for money. So that's how I made my money. My friends would set up a meeting with a top street ball player from one area of the city, and they'd be like, "Look, y'all play against each other. I give you $400." As a teenager, I was collecting, So we had a meeting to play against Dawan Wagner. Remember Dawan Wagner, right?
No.
Dawan Wagner he was from South Jersey. He was from Camden. Okay. He scored 100 points in high school. Wow. He got drafted, I think. Yep, he went to Memphis. He was, he left early, went to the Cavaliers. And he had like a health issue, so he had to leave the NBA. But me and him had a one-on-one schedule that week. But losing my cousin, it was just too hard to even do anything, So I went on to MCI, and I really got a chance to lock in on basketball because it was something different, I grew up around nothing but black people, So when I went to MCI, it was more of a diverse community. It was Asians, it was whites, there was a few Spanish people, you know what I mean? So I was able to clear my mind and see a different side of the world,
Yeah.
And everything changed once I got to MCI. I really started to focus on basketball. Coming up, I didn't have nobody teaching me how to play. I didn't learn about the game until I got up with a man named John Harnett. He started to teach me how to play the game of basketball. But that happened later in my career, around college time. You know what I mean?
Sure. And then when you went to Maine, you were talking about all these animals that you saw. Cool. And you can see them where you grew up, and that was just like,
it was beautiful.
Yeah.
Coming from, you don't see the deers with the antlers, a moose, a black bear. So when I got to Maine, I was seeing all these animals. I remember one time we went to a club, and we pulled behind the club. That's where the parking was, and we drove up on all this gravel, and then it was like the woods. As soon as we made the right into the parking spot, it was a big moose, probably 20 yards out. But we had our lights right on it. It was just like one of those moments where the moose was just looking at it. And I was just panicking, like, yo, just do not move the car. I didn't know what to do. And the moose left, but it was scary, but it was beautiful because I saw a moose for the first time. And this thing was huge. So I was like, I didn't know how big they were.
Sure.
So it was I started seeing all kinds of animals, but it was beautiful. It was an eye opener. I remember seeing the snow, how the snow fell on the rivers and stuff like that. That little picture, that image, all of that was just like beauty to me.
Wow. So that was a big thing. And then you didn't have offers in high school. I can't believe that.
No.
Because it sounded like it was a good high school, and you averaged so many points.
Yeah.
But, that's a story of so many URI players, but you had some incredible offers after you went prep. And we have a lot of viewers now. A lot of people say, Scott, I don't like college basketball. I don't like sports. Why should I subscribe? And I'm not selling the show. It's not about sports. It's very little. It's like, what have we talked about so far today? The first 10 minutes, really your life and your life stories, and your obstacles. So that's really what it's about. Just what happened there. What's the difference between prep and regular high school for our viewers that are new to basketball?
It's a higher level on prep. On the prep level, it's a higher level because it's top players. Colleges are at all of the showcases. It was a different element, and I played against a lot of ranked players. Now it's a lot of you coming across all ranked players and stuff. Like I said, I didn't play AAU basketball, so I didn't know any of these guys. And they were like, "Look, that's Rashard McCants." I'm like, "Who's Rashard McCants?"
Wow.
You know what I mean? Trayvon Bryant, it was a Francisco Garcia, Carl Krauser. It was a lot of tough players. Um, but at the same time, I grew up in these areas where you had to perform. It was situations where we'd be on the street ball court and they make death threats basically, and you got to perform. You know what I mean? So all of this didn't put any fear in my heart. I was ready for the moment, and I kind of played, not thinking about. See, now the kids know their worth about the game. I was just happy to play back. These whole experiences, NBA was not even a thought. It was just fun. So I was going to these showcases, just playing to have fun, just to go back and tell my friends that this guy couldn't guard me, or I did this or that. You know what I mean? It was never about money. It was never about making it to the NBA. It was all just out of the love of the game.
Yeah, I remember you saying that in another podcast. And I wish it was like that now, to be honest with you. It's getting to be more of a business and starting.
It's all
People
business now.
recruited in seventh grade, right?
Yeah.
Where I had a player, Anthony Harris, Ant. He was recruited in seventh grade already.
I'm seeing that now with the AAU. I just found that out this year, and I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I like it better your days, but I'm not going to rub people.
No, it is what it is. Yeah.
Here's obstacle number 2. This wasn't a free school, so you had to pony up $3,000 to get in there. What happened there?
So after the situation, I was hanging with one of my best friends, and at this time I was kind of hurt and I was mad. So I was like, man, I need to start selling some drugs or something because I got to start making some money. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And he looked at me crazy, like, what are you talking about? And he was like, man, what happened with that prep basketball stuff you talking about? I like, man, I can't do it. Like, they just told me I got to pay $3,000. Like, where am I coming with $3,000? And he looked at me. He was like, man, he's like, and I'm not the person to ask for anything. He's like, man, you need you didn't even ask me. So I was like, man, I didn't even know. You know what I mean? So that night, he got 2 other brothers, and my friend Jerry Johnson, his brother Marty Johnson, and Rob Johnson, they both gave my parents $3,000. And I think maybe like a week later, I was rushing to Maine, and it all started. You know what I mean? At first, when I got to Maine, the team was loading up the bus to go to I can't remember, Bob Huggins or Bob Gibbons showcase. It was a big showcase.
Bob Huggins, I know.
Bob, yep. So we went to so as I'm pulling up, they're about to leave. They like, we've been waiting for you. So he like, just put your luggage in there and just grab some basketball gear and some shoes. Wow. Grab some basketball gear and some shoes. We hopped on that bus. I think it was in New Hampshire or something. We went to the showcase, and I killed the showcase. And this is where it started, and this is how the recruitment came, the colleges came, and it was just I was on to a different page and a different chapter in my life.
Now I'm putting myself in your shoes, and someone put in $3,000. I'm starting to feel a little pressure because putting money. Did you feel pressure?
No, because I said in the beginning, my brother and my father, just my mom, my family played a huge role in my life as far as not following anybody, being careful with the people you choose in your life. You know what I mean? The people that you have around you. It was times when I was playing in these street ball games where different drug dealer friends or just different friends in general would come to me and say, look, I'll pay you $1,000. You come play with my summer league team in West Philly. And I'd be like, nah, you know what I mean? Because I knew they wanted something back in return. So like I said, my mom, my dad, my brothers, my sisters, I was raised different. So I could see these things coming from a mile away. So I was like, nah. So everybody that was around me, I knew they were good people. You know what I mean? Not once does family ever ask me for anything back. To this day, we're still all friends, and it's never been about that. Money is always genuine and organic when we're together.
It's hard to turn it down though when it's there, and that's a lot of money. Yes. 2000, whatever, 2001 or earlier.
Yeah.
So having the discipline and the willpower is a lot of people wouldn't do that.
Yeah, you're right. You know what I mean? But I had some good friends, and I had some good family members around me that led me the right way.
And then the offers came in.
Yeah.
And the offers were aplenty, and they were good schools. Pittsburgh for one, Western Kentucky. You were a few others.
Texas,
which one?
Texas and Miami.
Wow, Miami. So you were ready to go to Pittsburgh, and an assistant coach at Rhode Island talked you out of it. Who was it again?
Desmond Oliver.
Desmond Oliver. Sounds familiar.
Yeah, that's my guy.
So what did he do? He sounds like he should be a salesman. How did he pull it off? That's amazing.
Yeah, he got me to leave the Big East. You know, at the time where the Big East.
I'd hire him tomorrow.
Yeah, you know.
What could you say to do that?
I think he was just, I don't know. I felt a connection when we spoke, and he said like, you're not going to start. We're going to be able to develop you. We're going to push you. You'll have a better opportunity to shine here.
Yeah,
and I listened to him, and he persuaded me to come there. And when I got there, I never really worked on my game. You know what I mean? It was just all God-given ability.
Yeah.
And when I got there, he really showed me what hard work was. The first year I couldn't play. I couldn't even travel or be around the team. No practices, no nothing. So I was like the outsider. Everybody's like, yeah, we're going to practice. I'm like I felt it was hard, you know, because I couldn't play basketball. And that's what I was there for.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know, so it hurt. But he would wake me up 7 a.m. every day, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, to get shots up. So I started seeing myself get better through playing an intramural. I was going to these intramural games scoring like 50 and 60. So it was a buzz around campus like, how is this guy not playing? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So me not being able to play because Coach Oliver really taught me how to work hard. I had that chip on my shoulder. But Desmond Oliver, that was the guy Desmond Oliver was. He was going to develop you. He helped me with numerous things, just with me being a person in general, a lot of things that I had going on in Rhode Island, different situations. He helped me. He taught me how to do interviews. He played a huge role in my college career, my college development life.
Now, talking about intramurals, I don't know if you know this, but a former guest, Preston Murphy, had a similar situation where somewhere in his 4 years or 5 years, he played intramurals. And a lot of the people that are in the biggest URI fans in Keeney Blue, it's of course of the most knowledgeable fans, not just Rhode Island, but I put them up against any school. They could be coaches. Some of them I'm talking to could be coaches, but they played with Preston. And when I heard your story, I felt a connection to just like Preston's, because, you know, they had a big close-knit relationship with him through intramurals. And I could see the same with you. And the buzz started, but you weren't allowed in the gym, were you? You had to sneak in there, right?
I was sneaking up there where they was recording it. So I was sneaking up in the video room, and I would fall asleep sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was just sneaking up there watching practice, just getting a glimpse of what they were working on, who was getting better. You know what I mean? The matchups, what was going on. You know what I mean? That was my way of staying close to the team. You know what I mean? Other than when we was going out partying afterwards. You know what I mean?
But, and where was it? I think I know. Where was your hangout again?
Oh man, Black Point. We was in Black Point all the time. Yeah, we actually got Black Point knocked down, closed down.
I remember.
Yeah, it was crazy. Yep.
And if Kenny Green is listening, when he was playing, I was a manager then, so I got to know him really well. He's a lifelong friend of my books. He used to sneak into the gym. This time it was Keeney. It wasn't because he had his health issues, and he wasn't supposed to play at one point because he had a.
Well, this was Keeney too for me. Remember? Because,
that's right.
You know, so I was there the year before when I couldn't play, and they were still playing in Keeney. And then the next year I was eligible. That's when the Ryan Center opened up. You know what I mean? And that's when I was able to play.
Now, if you ask him, which I did, we picked some retired number show earlier on. I said, where would you prefer to play? What do you think he said, Keeney or Ryan Center?
I hope he said Ryan Center.
Nope. He said Keeney. It was so close, and the fans were right on top of you. What do you think?
I can see how Keeney would be a good place to play, though.
Yeah. But, you know, I would have said probably the Ryan Center, too.
I love the Ryan Center. But, I mean,
great.
Yeah, the Ryan Center just holds a special place in my heart.
You see the background? You get a little...
I mean, I meant to tell you about that. I feel like I'm here already.
Yeah.
I love that right there. That's beautiful.
Yeah, I know. Don't ask me how I got the picture, though.
That's a beautiful picture.
Thank you.
That's nice.
Well, that's you. And then we're going to go to a slideshow now.
That was my favorite headband in college. That
Yeah,
was my favorite one. Yeah, that was my favorite one.
that's some picture.
I wish I still had the hammer, but that brings back so many memories, man.
And, I
Oh,
mean, we covered all this stuff here already. The only thing that stands out is you were into gymnastics before basketball. Is that true?
yeah. I um, I used to love tumbling. So we would collect all of these mattresses, dirty
Yeah.
mattresses. Right? People would throw their mattresses out.
Wow.
We would come by, scrape them up, and put them in like this big space, you know. So we would have like four with the box spring and the mattress. We would pick these things up and take them to the park. So it would be like four mattresses, and we would just tumble. And I was really, really good. You know what I mean? We used to push them to like this house where it was like I say like a one story or one level, and we would jump off the roof and tumble in the air and land on the mattress. We were wild. We would do it on the cement in the grass, but I loved it. You know what I mean? So
Wow.
my
Well,
legs
I
got
would
pretty
like to hang
strong
out with
doing it.
you. And you
Yeah,
were
that was
fun on the
crazy.
bus too. You said you were the wild one on the bus, the pranks.
Oh yeah, I was
Telling what
always the
jokes.
one. Yeah, I was always the class joking and everything. Always.
Um,
This is cool. I remember him. He was tough.
you like these pictures, huh?
Yeah, I do like
I
these
do.
pictures.
I mean, look at that uniform.
I
And
know, right?
that epitomizes your toughness defensively. I mean,
I
you're
used to
in
love
his
him.
face and you're a pretty strong guy.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Howard Smith, he got that. He really started to get me to focus on defense. When my first year, he
yeah.
was a he was a great defender, and he got me and Coach Barron as well. They really put that battery in my back to really put that as a piece of my game.
And we're also going to get to Coach Barron's Barronisms.
All wise.
There's
Yeah.
one especially. We'll get to that. But here you beat Seton Hall with a block. I wish I could find the coverage of that. Maybe you have it. But remember that?
Yeah, I remember that. That was probably my favorite memory through basketball at Euro. I just had making that game on the shot. That was amazing.
And then you even were in some records, some pretty impressive ones, and you would have been in more. But I look at you as 3 years of solid playing, and you
Yeah.
missed a year. So
Oh,
it's really a tease. It doesn't. Yeah. But look at this one at minutes played, 49. You top everyone in URI history.
wow.
That says something about your stamina and will to play. 49 minutes is crazy.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah, that's Julius Randle minutes. That's Tom Tibbs minutes.
Yes.
And you're second.
Yes.
And it's a little deceptive, but you could technically say you're second in steals in the game right
Yeah.
there. There's a lot of people there. There's your man, Phil
That's right.
Coutinho.
Yeah.
So you
You
cover.
know. Yeah.
Yeah, you both could box, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm trying to cover it all here, and there's so much more. So I'm going a little quicker.
No, this.
Here's your statistics. You had some great statistics. You're an all-around player. How would you describe yourself as a player for someone who never saw you play but knew you were one of the great ones? What would you say was how would you define yourself?
I would say tough.
Mm-hmm.
Tough. I love physicality on the offensive side of the ball, and I love physicality on the defensive side of the ball. And I wasn't running from any matchup, and mentally and physically, just tough.
And you took it downhill.
Yeah.
And
I
it's
wasn't a shooter. I used to like to attack the basket and finish over the bigs. I used to always want to be a big man. Like in a different world, I would have been a big man. You know what I mean?
yeah.
To always tease the big men in practice and just tell them they couldn't block my shots, and we'll meet at the basket and I'll get one of these high floaters up over their fingertips, Marcel Montplaisir, and then just drive him crazy. I used to always mess with Marcel Montplaisir because he was a real good shot blocker on our team.
Yeah.
And he could never get my shot. He got me a couple times though.
Wow. The body control.
Yeah, I used to tell him, I said, look, you can't block my shot if I'm putting body on you the whole way. I'm
Yeah.
taking your timing away. So you can't get there and get it quick enough. So I'm gonna body you the whole way, cut you off, and then just finish over.
And as a shooter, you could hit the three.
Yeah, yeah, I had my years where I really that was one of my weaknesses of my game. So I really had to focus and lock in on my shooting. So I really spent a lot of time just getting a lot of reps in.
Okay. We're moving along here. Different years are moving us over again. We have all the players that you played against and your famed year, 2003, 2004, 20 and 14. Look at all the great players that you played with.
I know. B Wood.
Really good teams. Barron is a great recruiter. I have to say that. He's the most underrated recruiter in modern history, in my opinion.
Yeah, he got some good names on there, man. I mean, B Wood was tough. Jamal Wise was tough. Sky Hazelton. I mean, Jamal Wise was Mr. Basketball Maryland.
Wow.
B Wood was a highly recruited coming out of New York. Sky Hazelton was a All-American. Will Daniels was tough. Jimmy was a technician from the three. Parfait was tough. Gritty defender, explosive, athletic. And Kaheem Seawright was tough from out of New York. So he did a good job recruiting all of these guys.
I like 20.
Yeah.
I like Dustin too. I like all of them, but I just wanted to say that nickname because I love those.
Dustin was I love Dustin because he was just all heart and he just didn't care who you were. I used to hate Dustin before I went to URI. We was in prep school facing each other, battling for a whole season. We played his team, I think, twice or three times. And me and Dustin used to get into bad arguments. I could not stand Dustin. I hated Dustin until I met him on campus. I was like, look at you over here. You're my brother now.
Why am I not surprised?
I know, right?
And then he's on your team and you love him. And we're going to show some video why you love him. He hit a really big shot. But then we're talking about your overseas career. That you had some really great stories. You had a little stint with the LA Clippers.
Yes.
And you were hanging out with Cat. And Cat's famous. I didn't realize. I was going to ask him to come on the show. I'm afraid to ask him now. Because he's Paris Hilton and all those people. I don't think there's a chance of him coming on. So you were hanging out with them too. Just through
man.
That was some time, wasn't it?
It was mind-blowing. You know, it was mind-blowing. Living in LA, it was like, dang. It was just, Cat kind of exposed me to a different lifestyle. You know what I mean? We were going to parties around all of these stars. Just being in the NBA was a different lifestyle. Like, you know what I mean? You going around, just these guys are all multimillionaires. You know, you got Corey Maggette, Ellen Brand. You know, we went to
that's right.
Island. It was different. You know what I mean? Like Cat, everybody knew Cat. Everybody knew Cat. He knew everybody. You know, so it would be the times where I wake up in the morning and going to be these stars downstairs eating breakfast. You know, that was just different. You know.
Yeah, and you then you got on a plane. I don't know if you went to Israel or somewhere else, and someone on the got injured, and that possibly could have been a spot for you. That had to hurt a little bit. I know you made the right decision, but deep in your mind, you're thinking, "Darn."
Yeah. Oh my gosh! You know,
I can't remember his name, but maybe you'll remember.
But it was Livingston, Sean Livingston.
Sean Livingston.
Yep. So you know when that happened, I was in France, just like I just sat back and just was like, really, you know, and it kind of that ran through my mind like, dang, maybe I should have went to the G League, but you know I don't regret anything. It was all a great time.
They don't turn around planes usually, do they?
No, they really don't.
Unless you're Michael Jordan or LeBron or something like that.
Exactly.
You also had a gig afterwards with the Celtics, a summer coach.
Yeah.
I'm just watching Summer League now, and I was thinking about you. And you were
that was a great experience.
That must have been cool with Brett, just seeing that super mind out there, getting some.
Just getting a chance to see how he does his things, and Brad Stevens is a genius. He's very well calculated and prepared. I got a chance to learn from two other coaches which are friends of mine, Jay Larinaga and Jerome Allen. So just being around them in their element, it just gave me a different perspective as a coach and as a trainer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was wonderful.
How did you get that gig? I mean, it's all about your connections and who you knew. Did you play with someone overseas, and was that the thing, or?
Well, two of the players I played with overseas, Brad Wanamaker and Danny Tice. But just playing when I played in the G League, I played under Jay Larinaga. So when I retired, I called Jay like, "Hey Jay, I want to come up." You know what I mean? I'm trying to get into coaching. He's like, "Well, come up to the Celtics. You know what I mean? Hang out. We talk more about it." So I started coming up, and he started telling Jay, he's like, "Come up whenever." So I started coming up more and more. Then Jerome Allen got hired, and then Jerome started really pushing the envelope. Like, "Look, man, just come into the coaches meeting." So I started going into the coaches meeting, and then he was like, "Look, just look. I'm gonna tell him to put you on the summer league." And he put me on the summer league. You know what I mean? And then COVID hit, and it kind of crushed everything.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's something. Well, now we're in
Yeah.
the most recent Life of Hoops. This
Yes.
is your baby.
Yeah.
Uh,
This is my.
how did this whole thing start? I mean, I know where you are now, and I know where you want to go, but how did it even start?
Well, I always knew I wanted to be with kids. I always knew I wanted to help the youth in some way, shape, or form. You know, and obviously I knew it was going to be through basketball. So I started my training. You know what I mean? Life of Hoops. Me and my wife in the house one day, and we trying to figure out a name. She's like, "Well, all you do is basketball, so just name it Life of Hoops." I was like, "You know what? That's a good name. I think I'm gonna go with that." You know what I mean? So I started Life of Hoops with my godson. My first week, I made all these flyers. You know what I mean? First week, I get one kid. It's my godson. You know what I mean? So the next week, I had one of his friends. You know, and then it really just spread through word of mouth. All this money I spent on these flyers, I probably had two people come from the flyers. You know what I mean? But it really
Yeah.
spread through word of mouth. So that let me know like I was doing an okay job, and maybe I'm good at this. You know what I mean? So I continued to do it. I really studied it, and it was different from coaching and playing. Now you got to teach what you know. You got to get somebody else to do it. So that was a different challenge. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it wasn't hard for me to do because I was patient and I had to regroup every workout and say, all right, how can I make this easier or simpler for a 5-year-old to learn? If when I wanted to do a crossover, how can I teach it to a 5-year-old? 5-year-old. So I really had to start with footwork. You know what I mean? Small details. You know what I mean? And now it's grown so much, and I'm all in. I love it now. You know what I mean? It's I love it. I
I
love it.
highly recommend your Instagram page because it's always something of a lot of young kids, and you're having them do all kinds of different things. You're very creative. And one kid's, like I said, 3 years old, and he's running sprints. He's pretty
Yeah,
fast.
yeah,
So I don't know what you're going to put up each time. So I think everyone should go to Life of Hoops on Instagram.
yeah. I got some good stuff coming, man.
And this is your quote: "Basketball was your calling, but that's not what you're here for." I like that a lot.
Yeah.
That on the
Like I said, it was a lot of times where I was supposed to take the. And if you're asking me, I really do feel like I had the NBA talent. You know what I mean? But it
yeah.
was always something that when I would get to that next step, something would happen. You know what I mean? So I knew like this isn't going to be it for me. You know what I mean? It's something else. And now I can just feel it. I can feel it now. Like this is it. You know what I mean? I know exactly what I want to do in life. You know what I mean?
Now we're gonna have a little fun, and this is a business show too. I post on LinkedIn because Tyson Whaler gave me some really good quotes, and I think that some of the things that you say could be used in a business, whether it's a Fortune 500 company or a mom and pop. And one of them I like is what you said about every single day you should hit the reset button. I totally understand that. And you go in there, you did something really good the day before, and you're walking through and you're thinking you're bad. And,
Yep.
and all of a sudden you get the worst email. And maybe if you just hit the reset button, maybe you wouldn't take it so hard.
Yep.
That
Yep.
one, you hit that one, you nailed that one, I think.
I mean, like I said, like what we just read from one of the parents. You're
Yeah,
here. Our purpose is to help each other, you know. And if you know something, you teach it to another person so it can benefit them, you know. So that's all I'm doing. And when I was playing, doing anything in life, I will always hit the reset button because it doesn't matter what you did last year or yesterday or even what you went through yesterday. You know what I mean?
yeah.
You could have went through the worst stuff in the world yesterday. But what are you going to do about it tomorrow? You know what I mean? That's what matters. So I always use that every day. Like, all right, forget about yesterday. You did an amazing thing yesterday. but how you're going to follow it up today, or even just be consistent with yesterday. So I always hold myself to those standards. Whenever something go wrong, I try to always look myself in the mirror first. Like, if we lose a game, I'm looking at myself like, as a coach, as a trainer, as anything in life, as a husband, as a brother, as a son. Like, how could I have handled that situation better? Where was my mistakes at? Before I can even look at somebody else, I got to look at what I did wrong. And a lot of that came from my upbringing as well. But when I was in France that first year out, I was a loner. I didn't go out the house a lot, you know what I mean? But I read the Bible 3 times, you know, and reading a lot of the messages in the Bible, it kind of touched me. It hit home. Like, a lot of the terminology, you know what I mean? Everything, the messages, I picked it up, and I started really to apply it to my life.
We're going to do some fun stuff now and hit some videos. Your highlight reel. And I'd like you to just, but here we go. And, you know, just chirp in. See, you're dishing off to your buddy there.
That was the shot right there, Stephen Hall.
Oh, that was
Tyrone Weeks right there.
Okay, well, that's the shot. Let's reel it back. I don't want to miss this. Tell me when we hit the shot.
Right here, that was the shot against Seton Hall.
Wow. I didn't even know that.
Oh, that was the shot. That was everybody celebrating.
They did a really good job, the video team in 2002. They were way ahead of their time.
Yeah, they were. Dustin Halinga.
There were better teams than this URI team. There you go. You're a thief out there too.
That was my favorite defensive move. I would send them to the corner. I knew they would do a spin, and I would get them from behind. That was I used to love doing it.
But you can shoot. You definitely.
This Seton Hall right here.
Oh, wow.
That's it right here. Game winner. That was crazy. Oh my gosh, that was a crazy time right there.
That's why I have you on here, because I didn't know that. Keep it coming. Yep. I know it's Seton Hall.
Yep, that was Seton Hall.
And you won in spite of.
Look at this.
Okay, this is the one. Dustin's going to be watching this, so.
Yes, Dustin.
And we're going to do some bonus coverage.
Crazy.
There. What happened there, though?
We thought the game was over. Look, we thought the game was over.
Yeah.
You know,
I think it was. Wow.
That was crazy. Look at
I mean, he's wearing a. You got to love a guy like that on a team.
Yes, man. Dustin was crazy. No fear at all.
Yeah. Well, we're going to be playing some bonus coverage of this. Who's that he's hugging?
That's his brother.
I took a guess it was.
Yep.
We're not finished here. We've got some more highlights. I don't think you mind.
Oh, man.
Smith. Keep in mind, 15 on the shot clock after the timeout from Barron. Drive there. Penetration right now to Providence. Jay Drive tie the game. Rounds out. Get loose. And Rhode Island's going to win this one on the.
Wow. You got to be Providence, right?
Got to be Providence.
Is it a rivalry? People are saying it's not lately.
Now, I would say it's not a rivalry now.
Yeah.
Yeah. They kind of been killing this league.
Well, look at you guys.
B Wood was tough too.
Yes.
Yes, he was tough. We used to call him Stacey Alden. He was a plastic man. Seton Hall.
And who was that with the board?
B Wood.
Okay.
So during that time, right, you see me getting the ball, walking, and Coach Barron like, come on. So I looked at the shot. I was like, oh man, just went down, made a move, and shot went in. Crazy.
And this game was?
This was Seton Hall right here.
Oh, this is Seton Hall also.
Seton Hall. Yep.
Wow. The fans were as good as they ever were.
Yes. You ain't never lie. Crazy. T-Mac, John Clark.
And speaking of bringing it back, you took a little trip with Jared and Andre. Andre was another guest on the show. He's one of the first
Yep.
guests. How was that? I heard there was a lack of water on the court during practice. There's a scarcity of water being delivered to the players.
Oh my gosh. Very little water being given to the players.
Yeah.
You know, but you know how it is, man. You just gotta push through it. But we wasn't really getting a lot of water during that time.
And what do you think about the direction they're going in? It's a very unique direction. The rankings are out right now, and they're 10 or 12. Some of these elite.
I think they're going to be good, man. I mean, I think Archie's making all of the right moves. He's going after the right type of players. You know what I mean? He's definitely pushing them. You know what I mean? I think they're going. I mean, Archie's done a good job at the last few places he's been at. So I expect him to do the same thing here at URI. I think they're going to be a good team, though.
Yeah. And on that note, I'm going to finish off with one of the things that you've said. Don't forget about this bonus coverage. So it's this one: fall in love with the hard work, not in the success.
Yes. Yep. Can't chase the success. You gotta love the journey. You know what I mean? Because you love the journey, you're going to keep pushing for more. Because what are you without the journey? You know what I mean? So this journey has to last forever. You know, and you're always looking for something new, bigger and better. So you gotta love the journey because it's always going to take. You're always going to have to go through something, and it's always going to take something to get there. You're never just going to get there without going through something or having to travel a certain path or journey. You know what I mean? So you got to fall in love with that journey because it's always going to be a process, always. And if you hate the process, can't hate it. You got to follow. You got to find a way to find something about that process that you love and focus on that to keep pushing.
Well, once again, Dawan, you didn't disappoint, and
thank you.
Thanks so much for coming in here. I know you're really busy, but
anything you need, you let me know, man.
Okay. On that note, go Rhody.
Yes, go Rhody.
Okay.